Crimson and cream-clad fans are filing toward one of the great cathedrals in all of college football, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. We are just outside the walls on the north side of Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. For today is the 2014 Sooner Football Spring Game presented by U.S. Fleet Tracking. We're at the Big Boomer Barbecue. The Fan Fest just steps away from a Tilt-A-Whirl, the Sizzler. We're not eating yet. That's across the street.
Change by the end of the hour, I promise.
You can get barbecue. You got bratwurst over there. You got cold. I don't know why Sooner fans would not be here every time. All of those for you, my friend.
There's a lot of Sooner fans that are here already, and the crowds are growing with every minute that goes by. This is fun.
Come join us. We're counting you down. We're an hour away from kickoff of the annual spring game. For those of you who are unaware, he is the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland. I'm Chad McKee. Bob Stoops is going to send his guys out there to play against each other, which I think is very dangerous because that means somebody on either side could get hurt at any time. But what's fun about the spring game?
I think that there's an excitement just to see football again every year, and I think specific to this season, people are excited because of what they saw, obviously, in the Alabama game, and why not? I mean, why are we doing this if not to look forward to it? We joke on the radio show once in a while. We count down to the start of college football season. Like today, there's 139 days till it starts, and we'll count down every day because we can't wait. And then once it gets here, the games take too long. I got to get home. You know, people can't wait for it to be over. But we love this. We love college football. And if you're a Sooner fan, based on what you saw in New Orleans, you should be excited about the season coming up. You got it looks like a pretty talented quarterback, a great defense potentially, a favorable schedule. That's a good formula.
Yeah, spring's like a breath of fresh air. But really, there's been a breath of fresh air since January and the Sugar Bowl. New life. A new breath of fresh air around the program. But let's talk a little bit about maybe the position groups that have the most to prove or things that we want to see today. So many losses at the running back position. Old, reliable Brennan Clay, not there anymore. Jalen Saunders gone from the wide receiving core. What are a couple of places we look for that need to prove some things maybe today?
I think wide receiver is what jumps out at me. We won't see Sterling Shepard. You mentioned Jalen Saunders is gone. And so today's an opportunity for guys like Dannon Cavill, for Jordan Smallwood, for KJ Young, some guys who are going to be competing for one of those other two starting spots next to Sterling Shepard to get their chance to shine today before the freshmen come in, because there's another wave of talented wide receivers coming in the fall. So those guys have a chance to shine today.
Well, we talk about the defense last year, the first season with the three-down linemen, the Okie front, whatever you want to call it, but it was terrific, and it got better as the season progressed. The Sooners ended up leading the Big 12 in total defense. You saw the progression that a guy like an Eric Stryker made, Gino Grissom, how well he played in the Sugar Bowl, and Charles Tapper. Do you think that, and I know we're a long way away from kickoff in August, but do you think defense going in will be the strength of this team?
Definitely. I think that they have a chance to be special. We shouldn't be the ones talking about it. We got three defensive studs back in the studio that I promise you're going to touch on a lot of defense coming up, but this is a confident defense. They are extremely fast, and now you're going to add to that Hatari Bird and Ahmad Thomas and some other guys who we didn't see a lot of last year that I think are going to be a critical part in a very deep front seven. This has a chance to be one of the best defenses in the country.
And we think about newness and the tight end position. There's been a lot of buzz, of course, because Blake Bell this time last year was competing for the starting quarterback job. Now he's a tight end.
I heard about that.
Now he's not going to play today because he's sitting out with injury. But what do you think of the buzz around the tight end position?
Well, I think Blake's going to be really good, and everything you've heard from those who saw practice this spring is that he was outstanding and going to be a legitimate weapon for Trevor Knight this fall. That's exciting, and I think you're going to see, because of that, a renewed emphasis on the position. Taylor McNamara is improving. You got Trevor's twin brother, Connor Knight, who I think is going to be a talented tight end for them. Isaac Ijalana, who comes in, a JUCO kid. They're impressed with him. And then you got Blake, who will rejoin him in the fall. So I think there'll be a renewed emphasis on that position, and a lot of Sooner fans will be very excited to see that this year.
And Blake Bell is one of the guys we will not see in the spring game today as we take a look at all the players who will not participate today. Sterling Shepard and Deron Neal, neither of the wide receivers will play. Shepard's been battling a hamstring injury. Deron Neal a knee. Neela Casatati will not play. Defensive tackle Quincy Russell will not. And linebacker Londell Taylor. And Frank Shannon has been a little bit under under the weather this week, so the linebacker will not play today. Now, guys who have been out the whole spring, Julian Wilson coming back from his shoulder injury, Rashad Favors, Tyrus Thompson, Adam Shedd, Tyler Evans along the offensive line, and then Jordan Phillips, of course, who missed most of last season after back surgery. Look forward to getting him back on the defensive line this coming fall, but he will not play today, has not been able to participate this fall. Toby mentioned it a moment ago. Why are we talking defense when we've got some real experts? Three of them, in fact, standing by across the way in our Sooner Sports TV studios with Jessica Cootie.
Hey, thanks a lot, Chad. You guys go enjoy some barbecue.
Save me some ribs. It's a good idea.
No, I'm not saving you any ribs. You kidding me?
I'm hungry.
All right, as
Nothing
Chad
gonna be left
mentioned,
after
I'm
Toby
Jessica
gets there.
Cootie, and starting on my far right, all Big 12 defensive tackle, former Chicago Bear Dusty Dvorak, All-American linebacker, the Butkus Award winner Teddy Lehman, and directly to my right, and I got to say, this is a big day for me and my family to be joining on set with Rufus Alexander, the 2006 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, All-American linebacker. And let me tell you
Happy
why.
birthday, Rufus, by
Yes,
the
happy
way.
birthday.
I was a family favorite.
But yes, you were. I grew up in a Sooner family, and you were one of our favorite players growing up. You were my dad's favorite player, so much so that we named a family member after you. Rufus Alexander, meet Rufus Cootie.
Hey, I like the scarf. He's fashionable.
They look very
Yeah,
similar.
yeah. Hey, he's a great addition.
He's got
so
your eyes.
I hope you take pride in that because you
It's
were
an honor.
you
It's
were
an honor.
a favorite. So, all right, but these three guys know a lot about what's going to take place today. Of course, going through spring football as they all went through it with Bob Stoops. So, Rufus, I want to start with you as a guy who's returning, who's a star, who has cemented his place in this team. What is the mentality like going through spring football for a guy like that?
Going through spring football is more just freshen up on your skills, your technique and stuff, and trying to just sharpen your awareness on the defense and where guys are going to be. You got new guys that are being plugged in, so you want to kind of get a feel of what they're going in, what they're doing, and their habits and stuff. And the big thing is kind of just freshen up on the defense as well, and just having a clear-cut knowledge of what's going on and when to call and getting the calls out fast.
And for a guy that's maybe coming off a redshirt season, maybe played some special teams, wants to get on the field more, Teddy, what is the approach for spring for a guy like that?
Well, it's a now or never type of mentality. I mean, you want to get your butt out on the field, really, and if there's someone in front of you, you've got to go out play them. If there's a senior that left, you've got to step into those shoes and show, I can handle this, I can be a leader, I can make plays, I can understand the defense, I can get it to the defensive line in the secondary. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it in the spring. You've got to remember, this is the second year in this defense, so these guys are going to start to get some turnover. Should sharpen up a lot this spring.
And Bob Stoops, Mike Stoops all say how much they love spring football. Dusty, how much more relaxed are coaches during spring football?
Well, they're not preparing for Texas, Oklahoma State each and every week, so they're more relaxed. I think coaches love spring football because it's back to the basics. It is fundamentals. They get to coach their guys, these young guys, on footwork, on techniques, on the little nuances that maybe during the season you don't get an opportunity. So they get to actually coach their players. It's not about game preparation for the next week. It's not this constant going beast of the college football season. So I think they like that aspect. I think coaches love to see their guys compete, right? I mean,
But
that's what we all love.
I wouldn't say it was relaxed or anything about it. I would say Mike
The reason
Stoops
they
is
like it is because they get to
ripping
play golf every other
your
day in between
and then rip you on the other day.
They do, but they love watching these guys go out and compete. They want to know who's the freshman that's going to emerge. When's that light bulb going to turn off in their head where they go from a good player to a great player? I'm sure all of us, I experienced that my sophomore year going into that spring. That's when the light bulb kind of went off. Things slowed down. You can play fast. I think coaches, when that happens, when that light bulb goes off, they love that.
Well, think
And
about it. As a coach, you go out and recruit these guys, and you give them your stamp of approval, and now it's time for them to start showing up and making plays out on the field. So that's exciting to watch those guys that you saw come up through high school, and you said he's going to be a playmaker. Is he or is he not going to step up out on the field in the spring?
And we got to get through this part quickly. Obviously, you saw the guys not playing today, coming off the huge win in the Sugar Bowl. What is your one big question for today in the spring game? Teddy, we'll start with you.
Well, for me, who's going to emerge at the running back position? Between the three seniors that left last year, 2,000 yards rushing out the door. Alex Ross, Keith Ford, who's going to step up? Both guys, size, strength, their ability to run between the tackles, breakaway speed on the outside, but can they hold on to the football? Can they pass protect? Those are keys at running back position a lot of people forget about.
Dusty, quickly.
Punt returner, kick returner. We forget about that third phase of football, the teams, field position, who wins that battle, wins the games. Go back last year, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. Jalen Saunders, the kick return against K-State to the 3, the kick return for a touchdown, almost cemented and won those games for this football team. He's gone. He's out the door. Led the Big 12 in punt return. Sterling Shepard going to emerge into that role. I look for him. Maybe an Alex Ross on the kick return. We always forget about special teams. Field position, the return game, so important for this football team.
And Rufus.
You're looking for the next receiver to step up. I mean, you got a good, solid guy in Sterling Shepard who's going to be your number 1 guy, your big target. And like they said, you want a guy to step in there and kind of become the number 2 before that wave of freshmen come in, with Quick coming in and a few tall guys on the outside. So I'm trying to see if DJ Young's going to be that guy that's going to step up, because he looks like he has hands and looks like he can fly.
All right. Well, we are just getting started with these 3 guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. And coming up next, it's the segment they're launching at the bits to talk about. We're talking defense, so keep it right here on Sooner Sports Game Day, presented by U.S. Fleet Tracking.
Fans enjoying the sights and sounds of the Big Boomer Barbecue. We are on the north side of Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. In fact, we're in the parking lot of venerable old McCaslin Fieldhouse, getting you set for the Sooner football spring game presented by U.S. Fleet Tracking. Sooner defense improved last season. They made the switches, going to 3 down linemen, rushing 1 or 2 guys. The Sooners ended up leading the Big 12 in total defense, gave up just over 350 yards per game. Scoring defense, it was down over 3 points per game. Total defense, they allowed nearly 50 yards a game fewer. Rush defense, 55 yards a game fewer. And I think takeaways, 8 more last year than in 2012, and they had 20 more tackles for loss as well. So you play well, it draws some comments. Guys begin to think about the future and what this defense might be like. Eric Stryker, who had a great year for Oklahoma, saying, quote, "I think we can be the top defense in the nation. When we put it all together, our best 11 is pretty dang good. If we get our defense right and our players get to know the scheme, we will be pretty good." That is Eric Stryker. And you think about it, the way this defense finished up, you had Dominique Alexander end up as the top defensive freshman in the Big 12. Tapper was a first-team All-Big 12 guy. Stryker was an absolute menace. And then you're going to get the big run stopper, Jordan Phillips, back, hopefully, for this season. Can this be not just the best defense in the Big 12, but maybe the country?
Could be. The Kwanjo twins are still seeing Eric Stryker in their nightmares from the Sugar Bowl a year ago. Could be, and I'll take Stryker's comments one step further. I don't think it's their best 11 that makes them special. I think it is that, 18 to 20. I think the depth of this defense is what makes them really good. They're coming off a 7-sack performance against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. They've got tremendous speed, but you look at the non-frontline guys like Matt Diamond, Chuka Ndulue, Micah Noha, who's going to be added back into the mix this year, the Edmond Santa Fe product, Charles Walker, who there's a ton of excitement about, the redshirt freshman at defensive end. Obo, we've heard about Obo Okoronkwo now for 2 years. He's going to be a factor. You'll see him on the field today wearing number 82. Physical specimen, Jordan Evans, who was thrust into some playing time last year. So, and that's second wave guys there. You add that to the Tappers and Strikers and all the other Dominic Alexanders to be excited about. The depth of this defense, I think, is what makes it special and could make it the best in the country.
And there's so much buzz about the defense and the way that Trevor Knight played in the Sugar Bowl. That was so encouraging to watch him be that guy I think coaches thought he was going to be. He is clearly the number 1 guy. What a stark departure for him from a year ago when he was battling it out with Kendall Thompson and Blake Bell. But do we make too much of one game, of the Sugar Bowl? But I think you got to look back on the win over Iowa State, then in Manhattan, then in Stillwater. Then it culminated with the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know that you make too much of it. I mean, unless you become complacent, and that's not going to happen. I mean, Bob Stoops and Jerry Schmidt are going to make sure that doesn't happen. So I think that there was a confirmation of 2 things that took place in that game. There was a confirmation that Trevor Knight's the guy going forward, and there's a confirmation that they're doing the right things defensively. They're going in a positive direction. A year ago, we sat here and didn't know. They were changing things, and it was a gamble. And we sit here a year later and are confirmed that they're going in a very positive and exciting direction defensively because of that game.
The changes worked. What might be different in 2014 as they continue to sort of tinker with this new ideology on defense? Who better to ask than Jessica and the 3 experts we have over in the studio?
Hey, that's right, Chad. I'm joined by 2 linebackers and a defensive tackle. So this segment is going to be a lot of fun. Let's get right into it. Defensive line versus linebackers. Dusty, going to ask you to hold back just for a little bit. We're going to talk
luck with that.
linebackers
They're
first.
gonna waste their words. What they say doesn't even matter. But go ahead. Go.
All right. Well, a year ago, going into the fall, the big question was what impact the linebackers would make on this Sooner defense. Now the question is, will the linebackers be the strongest position in 2014, Rufus?
And clearly, I think they will be. Just
Imagine that. Imagine that.
with striker. I mean, you have so much guys coming back. You have the veterans there. I mean, the year before that, I mean, you had only one linebacker was on the field at a time, and now you're having guys coming up making plays everywhere. And Dom was a guy that came in and did a great job. I mean, just kind of solidified the core of it. I mean, Nelson went out and he stepped up and picked up the slack and stuff. And guys, you didn't miss a beat very much. You had guys lining up where they're supposed to be, where you would have a lack of that with a new guy coming in, with a freshman coming in, and Shannon missed some games, but you had guys that lined up and did what they were supposed to do. So,
And it was a new defense.
It was a new
too.
defense, yeah. And
I mean, think of all the new names out there. You know, Frank Shannon, not necessarily new, had a little bit of experience, but kind of new to the fray, just getting along, starting to come along as a player. Alexander gets thrust out there when Corey
Evans
Nelson goes down. Eric Stryker all of a sudden gets a lot of playing time. All of a sudden last year, you know, you built the first year in this defense. Guys, it was kind of new, the process. They got better and better as the year went. Now this spring, they're going to take a huge step forward. A lot of experience. This defense is old hat now. They're going to really fine-tune all the adjustments. And we all know that defensive line, leaderless army, if you didn't have a linebacker lining you up every play, you wouldn't know what to do.
That's what we're
I was going
saying.
to say to you guys, Jordan Evans, too, when
Jordan
he stepped
Evans,
in.
he did a great job
He's a young
at Texas
guy
Tech, yeah.
who's going to be good. But the only reason any of those guys are worth a darn is because of the guys up front, right? The big uglies up front. And you talk about this defensive line. In my opinion, the most depth in this entire football team. I mean, when you talk about Jordan Phillips at the nose before he goes out there against Notre Dame, playing as good as anybody in the country at the nose tackle position. Charles Tapper's been playing football for 4 years. He's a first-team All-Big 12 guy. The sky's the limit with him. Matt Diamond's a coach's dream. Chuka Ndulaway, he's that guy. He's the lunch pail guy. He does anything you ask of him. Nose tackle, 4 technique, doesn't matter. He's had 19 starts. But now we got Charles Walker coming up, who is a freak of nature. We'll talk about him later in the show. You got guys like Rhett Bomar. You got Matt Romar. You have Jordan Wade, who stepped in for Jordan Phillips last year. To get on this field, on this defensive line, you better be able to play the depth at the defensive line. It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can only play 3 at a time. We're going to have 4 guys out there rushing the passer, making plays in the
So we've got All-American linebacker. What's the one common thread up here? Who played in front of him? This guy right here. You guys are only as good. You guys are only as good as the guys in front of you.
I can train a monkey to stay at the line of scrimmage and take on a double team.
Linebackers are just like quarterbacks. You know, they get all the glory. They don't have to do any of the work. The guys, the big uglies, the tough guys, carry their lunch pail to work every single day.
All you do is blame
They get
us.
none of the praise. They get all the glory. They're ungrateful. They're unappreciative.
You blame us for not getting the call. I didn't get the rip. I didn't do this. I didn't get that. Coaches didn't get the call in fast enough, and we have to get the call in on the drop of a dime. Get you where you need to be, and you have to fit in the blitz, and you guys don't even fit in the blitz.
All right, guys, no surprise that you guys didn't leave any time to talk about the Sooners secondary, but we're going to settle this debate right now. You 3 guys are obviously very familiar of getting to the passer. I did a little investigating. Which one of you guys is the most intimidating to quarterbacks? Let's check it out.
That'll be me.
As a quarterback, who would you least want to see coming at you? Dusty Dvorak, Teddy Lehman, or Rufus Alexander?
Definitely Teddy Lehman,
And why is that?
because Teddy's much faster and a much better athlete than Dusty and
Hey,
Rufus.
who's that on that All-American
I'd probably say
wall back there
Rufus,
behind you?
just because he's so more athletic than those other guys, and he just looks way more intimidated than Dusty and Teddy for sure.
The one that I would want to see the least would definitely be Teddy Lehman. Ferocious and violent, coming downhill at the quarterback. Never liked that when I was in practice against him.
Probably have to go with Rufus on that one. Ever since I was here, he flew around, made plays all over the field.
The guy that I really wouldn't worry much about would be Dusty Dvorak. That long hair, pretty boy look, and the face paint really didn't scare me at all.
Good. Especially now since he's slimmed down to about $180.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that he'd be too intimidating coming off the corner. It seems like he could probably catch a stiff arm pretty quickly and just be brushed aside.
Wow, no love for the defensive tackle of the bunch. Dusty, how do you feel about that?
Who had the most sacks?
I think it was me.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what
It might
the
have been
answer
me.
is.
We may need to get the answer to that.
Can we get a statistician to get in on this?
You may have more because obviously we scared them into your direction.
I don't know about that. What do those guys know anyway?
They were the quarterbacks that you guys all played with. I think
They don't know
things
anything.
too.
They don't know anything.
All right, coming up next, we got to talk offense. We'll be right back on Sooner Sports Game Day, presented by U.S. Fleet Tracking.
A beautiful 80-degree day in Norman. A little breezy coming out of the south. We would take this every football Saturday.
Wind's blowing
in the
out
fall.
to left today, Chad.
It is blowing out to left. Football's here, though. Baseball's across the way, too.
Sorry. It's later.
Ron Thulin, Dave Lapham going to have the call of the spring game for you here in about 35 minutes. Look at what the Sooners lost, in particular at the running back and wide receiver spots. 18 starts from old reliable Brennan Clay. Roy Finch had 10 starts. You lose Jalen Saunders. Man, he was good. Terrific in the Sugar Bowl in particular. 21 starts that he made. Trey Franks, Jazz Reynolds as well. But 63% of your rushing yards, 68% of your receiving yards a season ago. So you lose all those guys. You got Sterling Shepard coming back as the biggest known commodity among the wide receiver running back groups. Which in your mind has a bigger hole to fill, wide receiver or running back?
I think wide receiver. I feel good about both groups. But when you've got Ford and Ross and Mixon and Pirine, and we haven't even talked about Dimitri Flowers yet, and Ripkowski, I think running back's in good shape. I think receiver is too because of Sterling Shepard, but who's running alongside Sterling? I don't know yet. Now, they got a big selection of guys, and maybe we'll talk more about this in a second, but I think wide receiver has a little bigger hole to fill. Now, part of that will be filled by Big Blake Bell if they're going to throw him the ball at tight end, but still, that maybe a slightly bigger question mark at wide receiver.
Let's talk about the running backs for a moment. We saw some of Keith Ford, as I said, can be at times like trying to tackle a runaway fire hydrant. Had a little bit of difficulty with ball security, or he might have played even more.
That's right.
Is he, in your mind, the leading candidate amongst guys we know of to get the most carries?
Yes, I think he is the leading candidate. However, today's a big day for Alex Ross because of that. I don't think Sooner fans, not talking about coaches, but fans are talking a lot about Ross. They're excited about Ford and Mixon. Ross is really good. He's healthy, and he's got a chance today to be a buzz of the summer if he can put on a show here in the spring game.
So you will have Joe Mixon coming in and Samaje Perine just as part of a numbers game. The sheer numbers of running backs, you can't go through a season with one or two guys.
No.
It would seem that at least one, if not both of those guys, will need to play next year.
I think that's right. And I think if, there's so much excitement and hype on Mixon that if he doesn't play this year, either he's been nicked up or he's been a disappointment. I think people expect Joe Mixon to come in and play right away. And Dimitri Flowers is a kid who is going to jump out at people today. Number 36. He's a fullback. Dusty Dvorak called him Trey Millard 2.0. They wanted to find another Trey Millard, and I think they got him, folks. This is a true freshman who should be in high school right now, and you're going to see this kid on the field today catching passes, blocking. They're going to hand him the football. He's amazing as young as he is.
Now to the wide receivers where Sterling Shepard is a known commodity. You know what you're going to get. He will not play in the spring game as he battles his way back from injury. But 51 catches a season ago. He moves into the Jalen Saunders role. But how will that change things, do you think, for Sterling?
Oh, I mean, I don't think it changes things a lot. I mean, he was already virtually go-to guy 1B a year ago. So I think he'll continue to be that. He'll be the first option. It's just not having Saunders on the other side of the field is he's going to attract more attention, I think, defensively. So they need somebody else to step up and be dependable, whether it's Cavill or Smallwood or Deron Neal when he gets healthy again, KJ Young. And they got some very talented wide receivers coming in the fall, and Mark Andrews and Micaiah Quick and Dallas Todd. So there's about 10 guys competing for 3 spots, and who's going to be, we don't know until, they kick off the season opener in August.
Well, there's been a lot of buzz about tight end, Blake Bell moving there certainly, and the talent they've recruited at that position more than anything else. For more on tight end, how that might factor in, let's send it back to Jessica and the fellas.
Chad, before we get to that, these guys have a little bit of a beef with you.
Can we
guys.
get some TV time?
That's a little bit.
Come on.
Why don't you guys
just
go
talk,
hop on the...
talk.
Toby's got barbecue
stick to the
sauce on his
script or
cheeks.
something.
I don't know out there.
That's why he's wearing
Hey.
red.
Get on the Ferris wheel. Get a hot dog.
We're just following
we're
the
going.
ratings,
Come on,
guys.
Tobe,
We're
let's
just
go.
following the ratings.
Exactly.
You're not following the script.
No.
because
We
Doug
have
was
people what they
talking
want to see.
about Dimitri Flowers, okay?
You cheated.
It's windy out here.
Go get on the Ferris wheel. Let us handle the rest of
You're
the show.
taking up talk time right now.
All right, but like Chad said, biggest storyline probably this spring is the switch from Blake Bell to quarterback to tight end. Rufus, how tough is that switch?
For a guy like him, though, I don't think it'll be that tough. He's a strong physical guy. I mean, watching him in practice, he blocks well. He goes out there there, I watched him catch a lot of passes, and I mean, he barely dropped any. I think he dropped one the whole entire time I was out there while he was catching passes just from the quarterback position from Trevor. But as far as he goes, I mean, he's a physical guy. He's tough. He wants to be out there. He loves the team. He could have easily transferred. It'll be easy. He'll make up the curve because he wants to be there. He wants to be at OU, and he loves playing for the university. So I think his strength, and he'll as he continue to grow, he'll be great.
To go from a blue jersey, though, to hand in the dirt against defensive linemen that used to chase you around and foam with the mouth to hit you, but they couldn't breathe on you, that's a tough transition. The fact that he's been able to do it so effortlessly, very impressive.
Now, the whole country saw what Texas Tech tight end Jason Morrow did last year. All-American, projected first-round draft pick. Teddy, can Blake Bell size up to a guy like Jason Morrow?
Sure. I mean, the tight end advantage over a defense is the size, it's the athleticism. It's a tough matchup for a linebacker underneath. Look at him right here. It's a smaller guy. You throw the ball up, they can go up and make the play. And here's the thing. As a defense, if you've got a big tight end that can catch the ball like that, you've got to commit a cover guy to him. You've got to commit a safety. You got to commit a big corner. And when you do that, you're susceptible in the run game, and you're one-on-one on the outside. So a tight end is big. And with the size, the athleticism, obviously he's got all that. If we can get the play-action game going, which as good as our running game was a year ago, I think that's going to come around. Could be a huge, huge threat with our offense.
Also a former quarterback. He understands coverages. When he walks up to the line of scrimmage, he knows right now what I'm getting, how I break this route off, what adjustments can I make to get open. Boy, it can be Trevor Knight's best friend. You think about the red zone. Red zone in there with that big target. He looked great right there in the end zone. Maybe some of the highlights could have been a little bit more advantageous to him.
And I think he's a little bit better. He's going to be a better blocker than the guy Texas Tech was, just because of his size and how big, how much stronger I think he'll be. Just the scheme, too, as well. The way OU comes in, the way they do their thing.
When you can utilize tight ends offensively against the defense, Teddy talked about it. It's a matchup nightmare. It's tough on defensive ends. You're in a tough spot at a 6 technique. It's really tough when you have good quality tight ends, and you talk about some of these guys we have right now. Something that could have been a weakness for Oklahoma might be a strength going into the season.
Now, we heard Toby talk about Dimitri Flowers. Dusty, I know you were in here faunching at the bits again to talk about the fullback, but Jay Boulware raved about him this spring, along with Blake Bell. Dusty, how good is Dimitri Flowers?
He's just impressive, and this is a kid that still should be in high school out of San Antonio, Texas. He does everything. A Swiss Army knife, just like Trey Miller. They said, we're losing Trey. What do we do? Let's go find someone like Trey. They did just that. He's going to be in the backfield as a fullback, as a running back, line up in the slot. He'll have his hand down as a tight end. He'll be an H-back. He can do everything, and physically, he can run with the ball. He can catch the ball. What's so impressive, though, for a young guy, inexperienced, just getting here, the understanding of the offense, the understanding of all these multiple positions, and him and being so good and knowing where to go all the time. He doesn't bust. He doesn't make mistakes. You can't say enough good things about Dimitri Flowers.
Now, everyone knows Aaron Ripkowski is a beast. He was a huge part of the Sooner offense this past season. Not scared of anybody.
I just love his name. I just love his name. His name is perfect for a fullback, man. I just love the guy's name. Just to see what he's going to do. I like watching him every time he's on the field.
Well, here is what Coach Boulware had to say about Rip this spring.
He's kind of like my old sock. You know, I got him. I know he's there. You know, I've had it all my life, you know, so Rip is there as well. He's doing a great job. He's better than he was last year, and he made a few catches out here today. I mean, a couple of big catches, and that just makes all the difference. You know, when you got a guy that you know can block and we can catch footballs, now our offense is complete.
All right, how big of a role will Aaron Ripkowski play in this offense?
Huge. You saw how important the running game was to us last year, to have that physical thumper. And here's the great thing about him. You can line him up at the tight end position. You can put him in the backfield. You can motion him across. He's getting better catching the ball as well. As you see right there, he's got some hands. I'm telling you, a thumper on offense, it's intimidating to a defense. It is. And to have one like him, it's outstanding.
He's running better right now. Ted said he's catching the ball better in a scrimmage. He had 2 catches for over 80 yards this year. All of a sudden, you look at Blake Bell, you look at Dimitri Flowers, you look right there at Aaron Ripkowski, a strength now offensively. Somewhere we said, oh, goodness, what are we going to do about the tight end position? All of a sudden now, Jay Boulware and Josh Heupel, I mean, they're excited. They've got weapons. They've got toys, 2, 3, multiple tight end sets. running game, play action pass opens the playbook up big time.
With the tight end and the fullbacks coming into play, it helps them out on the edge, is what you want. You can capture the edge, and that's something that scares teams. Whenever you can get out to the edge, it opens up your cutback lanes, guys getting cut off, and with a big guy like Bell with Ripkowski out there just, man, road grading and stuff. You know, as a linebacker, that's intimidating for a guy that can come in and thump like Teddy says, and that's what you have right there with the lineup they have in the backfield.
Nothing like an old pair of socks, too.
I know, right? All right, coming up next, we're talking the blue jerseys. Trevor Knight coming off the MVP performance in the Sugar Bowl, and who's going to be his backup? That's that next on Sooner Sports Game Day.
Join Soonersports.tv, powered by Fox Sports Today.
Access granted.
Throws right side. It is caught. Open. Bester. 20, 15, 10, 5. He dives for the end zone. Touchdown, Sooner. Throws deep across the middle. It is caught. Oh, it's Derek Woods. Locked it deep down the right sideline. He's looking for it all. It is caught. Touchdown. Jalen Saunders into the end zone. Touchdown, Sooner. Oh, mama. Rolling toward his own sideline. Wants to throw, pump fake, now he throws end zone, and is caught! What a throw! Sterling Shepard! Touchdown, Sooner!
Was a magical night in the Big Easy, 45-31. The Sooners beating the Alabama Crimson Tide in the All-State Sugar Bowl, and Oklahoma fans not going to forget that night with great calls by the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland. Many of the highlights, 4 touchdown passes, in fact, coming from Trevor Knight. He was the MVP on the offensive side in that game. And there's been such a buzz since that time about Trevor Knight. We've got the guy. This is who we thought Trevor Knight was going to be. We've had a chance both to be around him a little bit since then. What do you think is his best quality? And it doesn't necessarily have to be on the field.
Well, I think he's a leader. He's a likable kid. He's an easy guy for a team to rally around. I think you could say the same about Blake Bell.
Sure.
And I think both of those guys are still leaders of this team, even though Blake has become a tight end. But you know, just from a personality standpoint, he's kind of a natural. You know, on the field, he's athletic. He has an arm we now know that is very good. And I don't know that we knew that going into the Sugar Bowl. I think the one thing he's got to be careful of is they need him to stay healthy this year, and that was an issue a year ago.
And one of the reasons why, as we look at the Sooner slingers and who Oklahoma has in the stable as far as quarterbacks are concerned, with Blake Bell having moved to the tight end position. Of course, Kendall Thompson was involved in the quarterback battle last year. But you've got youth. You've got Cody Thomas, who's splitting some time with the baseball team. You've got Justice Hansen. Baker Mayfield was the newcomer of the year offensively in the Big 12 last year. He's in the Sooner stable but has to sit out this year. So you're right. It is imperative that Trevor Knight stay healthy this season. But after that, who do you think would have a leg up as to being the backup?
I think Cody Thomas, but that is the question of the day. That is why eyes are going to be glued on the blue jerseys today, is if you're going to move Blake Bell to tight end, who's going to be the guy? Yep. And there's no proven experience there. And so it's Cody Thomas versus Justice Hansen today. 14 versus 4. Who comes away looking the more impressive? That's your backup quarterback going into the fall. That's the big battle today.
Our guys over in the studio have their opinion on the backup quarterback situation. Let's send it back over to Jessica.
That's right, Chad. I've come to find out that they have an opinion on everything. So we're going to start with
Why
Dusty.
did it take so long?
Who has the best shot to be Trevor's backup?
I think Toby's right. Cody Thomas. You know, he's been here. It's about repetition. Justice, the quarterback position, we talked about Dimitri Flowers making the transition. You talk quarterback coming in as a true freshman, still should be in high school. That's tough. I mean, the playbook's way bigger. The understanding of things are totally different. So going to take him a little more time. But Cody Thomas, 6'4", 220 pounds, great pocket passer, has a really good arm. We all know, dual sport athlete. He's also playing for the Sooners. In baseball, he may have to, may take a helicopter over to play against the Longhorns later on this afternoon. But I think Cody Thomas is the guy. Justice shows you some great things, can run pretty well, throws it well, but still, green behind the ears, got a ways to come.
I think that's the thing. He's supposed to be in high school right now.
Right.
I mean, just too young. There's too much in this offense. Now, he's going to come around. He's a great athlete. He's going to come around. He's got a good arm. But some of the passes that you just got to get acclimated. Cody Thomas has that year under his belt. He's acclimated, knows the offense a little bit. Now, he is pulling double duty right now, going back and playing baseball, which may hurt him a little bit. But come time the football season in the fall, training camp, he's going to have all his timing down.
And just that jump from high school to college is just a huge jump.
It takes a year.
It takes a year, the speed and all that, and just having to touch on the passes and the receivers getting in and out of breaks and like having the timing to throw guys open and all that stuff that goes into college football. It ain't like high school where you can just kind of wait and
stare one guy
down and wait for him to get open. College, I mean, you have to throw guys open, feel the linebacker expanding, and wait for that guy to kind of, he's going to go through that linebacker in that window. And you got to, it's like a feel thing you got to get, because it's almost like you throw into air and knowing somebody's just running into
open in high
play.
school is covered in college. And it's the same thing in the NFL. That transition, open in college is covered in the NFL.
The thing is, there's so much in college and then moving on to the NFL that takes place before the snap.
Yeah.
Reading defenses, getting guys lined up, knowing your audibles. He's never seen anything like that before. It's going to take him a year to get acclimated to college
life. And plus seeing OU's defense now, the way they got guys out there, is giving them a little bit of fits in practice.
That's got to be tough.
That's
I mean,
tough
you got all these guys moving around. They're multiple, the 3-4. I'm sure Justice Hansen's head spinning. I can't wait to see Baker Mayfield. It may be limited today, but I hear this kid sling all over the place, and that's a good get for Oklahoma. You hate kind of the rule that he paid his own way. He's a walk-on at Texas Tech, and he doesn't get to play this year, but excited to see him too.
Let's just hope Trevor Knight doesn't go down.
So now the question is, which guy on this set would be the best backup to Trevor Knight? We have a picture to show you.
Oh, man. That ain't good.
I know. Did you think I'm the backup quarterback? Yeah. I think Rufus.
I think I'll be all right.
He's singing. You guys are standing.
It does look good.
I can blow.
All right, coming up next, we've got a moving story on a special visitor at one of the Sooners practices this spring. Keep it right here on Sooner Sports Game Day, presented by U.S. Fleet Track.
Teddy's rocking that dress.
Special thanks to our cornerstone television partners, Chesapeake Energy, WinStar World Resorts, Anheuser-Busch, OU Outreach, OU Alumni Association, OU Medicine, and the OU President's Associates.
With spring practice in full swing, whether a guy is building on an MVP performance, transitioning to a new position, competing for a starting job, or learning a new system altogether, it would be understandable for these players to get caught up in their own agendas. But during spring practice number 4, they were served a reminder of just how lucky they are to be a Sooner.
Hey, Eiler, come on in here.
This is Eiler Buck, an 8th grader from Highland Village, Texas. Eiler was born with polymicrogyria, a condition which paralyzes his tongue and causes other symptoms like muscle weakness and seizures. He's not able to speak, but it's very easy to understand just how much he loves Oklahoma football. So can you show us how big of an OU fan that you are? How big? It's so big.
What did you want to say about OU? I love OU.
The Buck family received the invite to attend a spring football practice and didn't hesitate to make the drive up to Norman in order for Eiler's dream to come true.
Papa played OU 1956.
Wow.
And what does he have on his ring? National championship.
Eiler received an all-access tour, stood on the sideline during all of the action. When practice was over, he broke the huddle and even played a little catch with one of his favorite players, Blake Bell.
Yeah.
Tell him, go deep, go deep.
Oh, it was great. Sometimes I think he might have had a better arm than some of the quarterbacks out there,
But perhaps the most exciting moment of the day was when Trevor Knight, Eiler's other favorite player, handed off the football, and Eiler ran the ball in for a touchdown on Owen Field.
Almost there.
Followed by a lesson for Trevor on how to celebrate a score.
Yes.
That's always, a blessing to have guys out there like this. It makes you appreciate things a little bit more. And then just to see the joy on his face, getting to come out here and run around with us, it makes you feel good as a person as well as a player, just that you get to do that for somebody.
Yes, it would be easy to simply get caught up in what's happening in between the white lines. But it's impossible not to see the impact that was made on Owen Field during spring practice number 4.
Well, it's great, obviously, getting Nyler out here, and it was one of his dreams, and coming out here and having a great time and seeing a smile on his face, you can't help but smile and feel great inside. So, it's fun for me to come out here and do things like that.
To me, it's not so much what he gets out of it or what we get out of it, but the sweetness and joy we see in the players as they're bumping him, and it's that he brings out the goodness in people. He just does, and we're blessed to get to see that. So.
And there's so many good people in this world, so much love out there, and go Sooner Nation.
We about to start, Coach? Huh? We about to start?
You kick off, return, and pass skill first.
See if you can't rush the passer in today. How does it feel to have a bald head? It's great. Cold, huh? Boy, I just got these last week. These little quarterbacks throwing that ball that hard. Trap in there. Can I get the ball, please? We're out trying to get better. Watch your position, learn from every rep, and let's get after these guys, man. Let's go! Let's go. Drag it. Let's go.
Get your hands inside and be physical.
Come out of your stance. Right here. Yeah. None of this. Right here. Right here.
Go.
Get to it. Get to it. Ball, ball, ball. Good job, dog. I know, I just needed to do my step. 3 feet, baby.
LB's on 3, 1, 2, 3.
The best stuff mic'd up from the spring for features, interviews from spring football. Your home is Soonersports.tv. You get replays of your favorite Sooner sporting events as well. And by the way, head coach Bob Stoops going to be wearing a mic during the spring game for us on the football game coming up in just a little bit. Now, spring game scoring systems can be somewhat complex, sometimes even abstract. You can use a calculator, mythical. Yeah. That term has been thrown around from time to time. But fortunately, since he's calling it on the radio, he has to know how the scoring system works. So, Toby, how is this game going to work?
I have no idea, folks. None whatsoever. It has something to do with what color of the number the quarterback is wearing. If they're wearing a red number and they score, the red team gets points. If they're wearing a white number and they score, the white team gets points. Other than that, who cares? It's a spring game,
I think that's the best way to put it.
I've seen occasions where points have been taken off the board in this
for erratic behavior.
I don't know
it
why.
Could happen.
Just because Bob decided that's what it's going to be. So
we'll leave that up to the coaches and just enjoy the game. Now for fans who are coming out here, what should they be looking for? What should they expect to see?
I think the 3 biggest storylines when we come to, I'll give you 4 biggest storylines when we come to Monday on Talk Radio will be Dimitri Flowers. I think he's going to turn heads today. Danon Cavill will be the wide receiver, I think, that jumps out at everybody today. Alex Ross is going to join the conversation in the battle for running back. And your backup quarterback out of today, Cody Thomas, I think will win that job.
All right, we're headed inside of the stadium. Kickoff of the game here in just a few moments. Let's send it back for final thoughts to the studio with Jessica and the guys.
Hey, thanks, guys. Now, seriously, go get some barbecue now.
Yes.
All right, we're going to finally settle the debate from earlier. We've got a graphic to show you. Who had the most sacks in a career? There you go. Dusty with 16, Teddy with 5, Rufus with 10.
As a matter of fact, if you add both of these guys' sacks together, I don't think it quite gets there.
5? There's no way that's right.
Is that a misprint?
Hey,
is that what you're saying?
No way that's right.
Numbers never lie, baby.
Numbers never lie.
lie.
Way that's right.
All right, so it's it's
Let
settled.
the truth be told.
It's settled. All right, we're coming to a close now. So final thoughts. Want to get a player to watch from each of you guys, starting with Dusty. Give us a red shirt guy to watch today in the spring game.
Charles Walker, 97. This guy is phenomenal, athletically extremely gifted. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, but he has the potential to be like a number 97 we played for. That's right, Tommy Harris. From a potential standpoint, 6'2", 295, super long arms, great frame. Ran a 4.67 in the winter workouts, guys. 4.67 at 295. That doesn't happen. Guys shouldn't be able to run that fast. He's a freak, great pass rusher, disruptor, really good player. He plays slow at times because he's still thinking a little bit out there. When he knows what he's doing and he goes, watch out. The guy is an outstanding football player.
All right, Teddy, how about an offensive returner?
Alex Ross, you know, limited last year that we saw him. I think this year he's just going to burst on the scene in the spring game, going to get a lot of carries out there. The size, the speed, the athleticism, he's good blocking. We're going to see that. He's got the breakaway speed, guys. He's big. This is a big-time running back. He's tall. He can really, whenever he gets those strides going, whenever he breaks away, you're not going to catch this guy really fast. And can he get it done between the tackles? That's the thing. Talking to Rufus, he likes to bounce it outside quite a bit. Can he get it going between the tackles is going to be the question for Alex.
Rufus got a minute left. Give us a defensive guy.
And for me, Ahmad Thomas is a guy who's going to step in. He played a few in the limited games, but every game he got in, every time he was in, he made a tackle the first time he was in the game. As a guy that's going to be at safety, he's going to have to solidify the safety position. And you got LeGrand, the other safety that's there, who's challenging him right now, who's pushing him for that starting spot. But I think Thomas has the hold on it, and he should be your starting safety. And he's going to be one that's going to be one to watch for. He's like a big guy. Those two guys back there. Two guys.
Quentin Hayes, you feel good about. You need someone else.
Yeah, those two guys are big, strong safeties.
All right, and happy birthday to this guy. Thanks
Appreciate
for
it. Thank you.
I got you a present to match Rufus.
We have the picture of the dog again.
All right, the 2014 spring game is coming up next. Thanks for watching Sooner Sports Game Day presented by U.S. Lead Tracking.
Sooner Sports, powered by Fox Sports, is presented by your Central Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers.